Hello, my name's Bill Amos. I knew Bryan Ellis for exactly 50 years. In fact, it was the summer of '68, July, I think, when he and Earl Phillips and Keith Benjamin began hanging around with us. The first time I remember spending time with Bryan, he brought his guitar over, and somehow the two of us got together, sitting on the front steps of Renshaw's, composing some kind of ballad. I remember trying to get all the words down, all the lyrics down on a big piece of paper, and pretty soon we ran out of paper and we had to use a toilet roll. And it filled up the entire roll, as a matter of fact. All those wonderful lines, none of which I can remember right now. But it was a lot of fun. And we sang it together, which was too bad, because he could sing and I couldn't, and still can't. The next time I remember well with Bryan was an occasion in which we went to an area we called Over the Tracks. It was at an old golf course, a summer league golf course, which was just over the Canadian Pacific or CN rail tracks, just north of Highway 2 and 20 in Lachine. So Bryan and Earl Phillips, I think Keith Benjamin and I went over the tracks with some beer. We had it in the large quarts, as a matter of fact. And we were just looking to get a little tipsy, maybe have a little fun on a summer afternoon. And it was fun. It was probably the first time any of us got anywhere near drunk in our lives. And Bryan just laughed and laughed and laughed. Even when he was throwing up, he was laughing. He just had a great time. There were two records that Bryan holds from his times at Renshaw's. The first would be the number of hours he spent listening to, dancing to, or canoodling to the song Light My Fire by Jose Feliciano. That was his favorite tune, no doubt about that. And every time he had a female with him down in the Renshaw's basement where the record player was, you would hear that tune playing over and over and over. It was like an obsession. The other record he holds would be the number of times he laughed, especially at Bill Renshaw's jokes, which was amazing because they really weren't all that funny. Bryan and I had similar interests. We were really keen on the arts. We were in 2 plays together at Lachine High, including Death of a Salesman. And we followed similar career paths in the media. He went into entertainment and then into the executive ranks. And I went into news and stayed in news and ended up teaching news, which is what I've been doing for a long time. But I have to admit I was always a little bit jealous of Bryan's success because he made his way into the executive ranks of some of the greatest media companies in this country. And yet he never became jaded. Always maintained that wonderful personality, helpful, supportive. And knowing the media business as I do, I imagine that wasn't always easy. It's hard to believe that he's gone, isn't it? The last time that we got together was 11 years ago when we had lunch in downtown Toronto. And we had a really fantastic time talking about everything we'd done together, things that probably we shouldn't have done, which probably were greater in number, actually. And when the end came, we were slapping each other on the back and saying, let's not let so much time go by before we do this again. Oh, that was the last time I saw him. I spoke to him over the phone in May, and it was a very nice but short conversation. Like I say, it's hard to believe. I want to extend my deepest sympathies to Leslie and all of Bryan's family. And there's no doubt this is a sad occasion, but I will say that we can all be grateful for something. And that is that we all got to know Bryan Ellis. Thanks for listening.